Hey, we love Mondays. Welcome to the Wise Guys, presented by BradyPlus, the #1 global live stream BYU sports show in the entire world. Turns into a podcast tomorrow, which is available for the whole world. Dave McCann, Blaine Fowler. On last week's show, we had Cougar fans on 5 of the 7 continents joining our show.
What was the newest continent last week?
We had Australia last week.
That's right. We got Australia in the house last week. I was trying to remember we added a continent last week, and I'm losing my mind. But, yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
When we say it's a global entity here, it truly is global, and it's really, really fun.
Allen, Texas, right out of the gate. Harriman, Utah, Ridgecrest, California. Hop on that stream and let us know where you're participating.
Yeah, we appreciate everybody, but we really appreciate folks on the other side of the world that are watching at 10 o'clock in the morning tomorrow, right? Which is really cool. Hey, make sure you go to wiseguys.com, ysguys.com, and subscribe to our email to get their free email. You can also watch all of the past content for the last 2.5 years, including interviews we've done with, the list is unbelievable of folks that have been on this show. Also, make sure if you're watching on YouTube, you hit the subscribe button on YouTube. All of that is good for the show, right?
And it's all free. That's our favorite price.
Wherever you're watching it, if you can subscribe if it's for free. But for sure, YouTube, and for sure, subscribe at wiseguys.com so you get the email, and it'll give you updates and tell you when stuff is out. If we ever do a live stream at some point from practice, it'll update you and tell you that we're going to do that. And it's the kind of the clearinghouse for everything. Not the clearinghouse, but the hub of where everything is, ysguys.com.
Tucson's in the house, Beaumont, Texas. Good to have you guys with us as always. Wise Guys thrilled to have BradyPlus as our title sponsor. BradyPlus provides cleaning, food service, and packaging equipment, dispensers, and service and repairs with over 150 distribution facilities across the country and over 6,000 employees. With that said, Cedar Hills, Utah hops on the live stream.
Well, and this is from the other side of Utah, in Vernal. That's out there, out in the basin, right? Is Vernal called out in the basin? I think it is.
Yeah, so that's dinosaur country.
Well, or it's alien country, isn't that out?
Yeah, it's out there too.
Out by
Brandon Fugel.
Yeah, well, Brandon
you want to hear
on the
that?
show?
You go to our wiseguys.com. You can get our extraterrestrial expert.
That was our ET episode with Brandon Fugel talking about the private Area 51.
I got us thinking. Glenn's in from the Philippines. Hey, Glenn, good to have you with us. Here's what's coming up on tonight's show. We're going to take a deep dive into BYU football. We just came from practice. Gerry Bohanon against Jake Retzlaff. We'll talk about the quarterback battle. You can ask us questions as well on the live stream. Again, we just barely walked in the door from practice.
Yeah, and by the way, Hoops News, BYU remains very much in the hunt for the nation's top prospect. They already have 2 top 30 recruits in the country.
Yeah. This is big time.
And one of their top recruits, we'll talk about this as well, didn't have a rating because he was an international player. And, of course, we're talking about Yegor Denham. But now that he's here, they can rate him 24/7, rated him a 5-star recruit.
Yeah, about that. First ever in program
First
history.
ever, which is pretty amazing. So we'll talk some basketball as well. Women's
volleyball head coach Heather Olmstead is going to join us ahead of BYU's second season in the Big 12 as we say hey to Nebraska. Good to have you with us. So Heather and Sean's the men's head coach. Together, they are 21 wins shy of 500. That's how
crazy.
Good they've been.
This is the first family of volleyball.
Yeah.
The Olmstead family.
So we're eager. We had Sean on in January. We're eager to get the truth from Heather.
Yeah, she can straighten out any nonsense that Sean's sputtered out there or put out there.
So she'll join us in just a bit.
Hey, the NFL preseason, big week for 3 former BYU Cougars.
Yeah, like keep your job week, kind of, maybe?
Yeah.
Or earn your job week.
Earn your job week, maybe. So
yeah, we'll break those down. There's a lot of Cougars in action.
Two Nakua's had one-handed catches here in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, and one's got a knee injury.
Yeah,
we'll update you on that.
Although in quotes, it did say minor.
Yeah,
we're talking about Puka.
When you're listed as week to week as opposed to day to day, what does that even mean?
I don't even know. That means you know what? He's one of the best receivers. He's one of the top 40 players in the National Football League. We're not going to mess with this preseason stuff. He's going to be 100% healthy before we put him back out there. That's what that means.
Yeah. All right. Hey, we've got our golf tournament tomorrow. It's the Ephraim Hope Charity Golf Tournament. Wise Guys, the title sponsor at the Cedar Hills Golf Club. We understand that the field is full.
That's awesome.
A bunch of our friends have bought foursomes, and they're going to be out there. We're going to be out there tomorrow morning before it gets started. And ephraimhope.org is where you can get more information. If you're not going to the golf tournament, but you want to participate with us, that is a charity that provides educational supplies for kids in Uganda.
That's right.
And we had the director of Ephraim Hope on with us a few weeks ago and had an awesome time. And here's what's cool. We've got here an autographed football. This is the football signed by the current team, thanks to Hinckley Rapati, who was on the show a couple of weeks ago. And he rounded up a couple of balls and got more than a few signatures. And so this is what's going to be auctioned at the golf tournament tomorrow. And since Wise Guys is tonight, we're going to give you a chance to get a head start on that.
Yeah, this is insider stuff. So,
so if you go over to our...
You can bid. We put the link. Just go to wiseguys.com. Contact us. You can see the link is in the chat. Yeah. And you can bid on this.
Click on the contact tab. And in the message section, you can place a bid. And maybe you could lock it up before it even goes on the market tomorrow. But... this is the football signed by the Cougars that are going to surprise college football this season.
That's right.
And so, it's only going to increase in value as the season goes on.
Absolutely. Hey, Linda Murray from Saratoga Springs in the house like she always is. Michael Zimmerman already pontificating. He says, I feel like Gerry Bohanon knows, if he knows the playbook, because of his athleticism, he's going to be the starter. So already throwing it out there.
Yeah, so, you know what? That's not a bad suggestion.
Yeah, not a bad take, actually. We just saw Gerry throwing the ball. We saw all four quarterbacks that are in the mix throw the ball while we were down there just a few minutes ago.
So on Mondays, they had practice, and they just wrapped it up a moment ago. They're supposed to be in full pads today. They ended up with helmets and shoulder pads.
Yeah, they call it shells, they call it.
So when we got there, and we get just 20 minutes or so toward the end of practice, they don't show us all the good stuff.
Yeah.
But they show us some stuff. And we saw some good balls, but we saw a few drops.
Yeah,
and
I've seen some drops in the couple of days that I've been at practice. It was a little discouraging. This is a wildly talented wide receiver core that can get some separation, but to win in this league, your wide receivers have to make plays. There's gonna be a lot of times when they're not really that open. It's the quarterback's job to put the ball in a spot where only they can catch it, and they got to go up and make plays, and they can't have drop balls. And so, something I'm watching there, more drop balls than I'd like to see early in camp. But that's something you hope you fix and get better at as camp progresses.
So for the quarterbacks, what we're seeing is what Aaron Roderick has been saying, that it's a 50-50 split between Gerry Bohanon and Jake Retzlaff. We've interviewed both of them. Both those interviews were on BYU Sports Nation earlier today. They've both been on this show. They both have leadership skills. They both have live arms. One's a little bit bigger than the other. One's got more experience than the other. Will that be what wins out in the end for Gerry Bohanon as we take it on here for a moment? Gerry, when healthy, won the Big 12 championship and the Sugar Bowl when he was at Baylor. Missed last season with a shoulder surgery. We've been watching him in practice. He's healthy. And so does his health and his experience complement his chances to win this job?
Well, here's the interesting thing. You and I talk about it all the time, and I've been watching that really, really close. And during spring ball, I just felt like, man, I'd really like to see the Gerry Bohanon I saw win the Big 12 championship. But so far, his arm, to me, does not look like it's right. He just didn't have the velocity on the ball that we had seen when he was at his peak. And he didn't have the touch on the deep ball. Like, he was one of the best deep ball throwers in all of college football a couple years ago at Baylor. It just wasn't there in the spring. And so we were just going, hey, this thing's going to be Jake Retzlaff. He has more velocity on the ball. He's played in 4 games in this offense. This is what's going to happen. Well, Gerry told us today, we talked about it. He revealed this in an interview the other day, and we aired it on Sports Nation this morning. And toward the end of May, he went to the doctors, and he had his shoulder injected with
stem cells.
Yeah. And he goes, they told me I couldn't throw for a week. I didn't throw for a week. I came back after that week, and I threw one day, and I thought, whoa, that doesn't hurt at all. I have a range of motion I haven't had in a long time since surgery. So he said I threw the second day, and then the third day, and then the fourth day, and then the fifth day. 5 days in a row, hundreds of balls with no pain and with no limit to his mobility. And he thought, wait a minute, I'm back.
Yeah.
And Then I saw him throw about 3 weeks ago over at the Fieldhouse with all 4 quarterbacks working out with John Beck, and he's making every throw. He's throwing 18-yard comebacks and deep balls, and I'm going, okay. I didn't think Bohanon had a chance the way he threw the ball in spring ball. When I watched him throw the other night and what I've seen in practice, it really now it's a quarterback competition. Now it's who can take care of the ball, who's going to move the team, who has the heart of the team, all of that. And Gerry is absolutely in the mix, and he brings this big physical frame that can run the ball to the game as well. And a history of starting in the P5 league and winning a championship and winning a Sugar Bowl.
And I think we're going to find out here sooner than later. Once they make the call, you get into next week. Now you're into the second week of camp. The season openers later this month, and they can't be messing around with it. And Jake's looked good in practice too. And we had Jake.
You got to have 2 guys. If we learned that over the last few years, you got to have 2 or 3 guys.
Got to have 2 or 3. But when we think of Jake, we think of speaking of the typical fan, is the last 4 games of last season, 0-4, and didn't take care of the football. And then you go, well, how do we judge that? How do we judge that as he moves forward? And then you look at John Beck, who's worked with both of them over the summer, a quarterback guru. And then I looked at John Beck's first 4 starts.
Oh, man.
Back in 2003. And he went 1-3. His first game against Stanford, he was 22 of 45, 2 interceptions, 279 yards, 2 a touchdown, got sacked 5 times. Then he comes back to Air Force. They get beat. He's 19 of 35 for 193 and a touchdown. Then against San Diego State, they win, but he's 17 of 26 for 180 and 2 touchdowns. And then a loss to Colorado State. He's 10 of 23 with an interception and a touchdown and 136 yards. So those first 4 starts for John Beck, not great. But he finished with 11,021 yards and remains number 3 all-time at BYU. And I just thought that was interesting. Because Jake went 0-4 against Iowa State, West Virginia, Oklahoma, and Oklahoma State.
Way better competition than any of the old quarterbacks we ever talk about ever had to play against.
And he had some good moments and he had some bad moments. But those are the 4 judgments, right? And if John Beck was judged after 4 games and wasn't allowed the opportunity to grow and develop, what would be out our number 3 all-time leading passer in program history. So that's kind of a head scratcher of, well, what do you got Bohanon, who didn't play last year because he was recovering from surgery, and you got Jake, who went 0-4 in his 4 games, and then you got spring practice, summer, and here we are in fall camp, and you go, well, which sticks the most? Previous experience with Gerry or last year's experience with Jake?
And to me, it becomes, over the next 2 weeks, Aaron's got to put them in pressure situations, and he's got to watch and monitor and grade every single thing they do. How's their decision-making? How's their accuracy? Are they moving the team? Is the team scoring when they're in the game? Most importantly, are they taking care of the football, really? Because I think this defense this year, who, by the way, through 4 practices, if I had to rate a winner, offense or defense, in the first 4 practices, not surprising, I think the defense has won the first 4 practices. And there's been moments where the offense is good. You and I showed up today, like the second play of the scrimmage at the end, Hillstead throws a deep bomb over the top of the defense for a touchdown. And they started 3s against 3s. We also saw Bourget throw some nice balls out there. And then we saw the ones go ones. And exactly as had been described to us, then Gerry and Jake split reps. So, and then also important thing, we keep saying this, who's the team rallying around?
Yeah.
Who does, like, it should be obvious to the team who the guy is, and it should be obvious to the coaches that it's obvious to the team who the guy is as they pick who this person's going to be here in the next couple of weeks.
And so if that doesn't evolve quickly, then maybe we got an issue.
Yeah.
But we sense that it is evolving, and that it'll be sooner than later. I was thinking earlier that if the game were tomorrow, then Jake would start because he's deeper into the playbook time-wise.
Right.
But now I'm saying, you know what, it could be either one, and I wouldn't be surprised if it was Gerry starting.
I feel very different than I did last year. Last year, I felt like, hey, Keaton Slovis can go out and win games for BYU. And if Keaton Slovis can stay healthy, they can win 7-8 games. Who knows, they could get hot and win 9. Well, Keaton Slovis didn't stay healthy. Here's the problem I had with last year, and you and I talked about this a lot. I kept saying, if Keaton Slovis doesn't stay healthy, I don't feel good about anybody at this point being ready to go. They throw Retzlaff in at the end of the season. He wasn't planning to play as the primary guy at the end of the season. He was going to come off his redshirt year and get a little experience to help him be ahead for this year. He ends up having to be the guy. This year, I feel like there's 4 guys that could play.
Yeah.
I feel like they could win games with Hillstead or with Bourget. I really feel like they can win games with Jake or with Gerry. And so I feel like this quarterback situation is in a much better place than it was at this exact same time last year.
Hey, Dirk Keeler on the live stream. Hello from McCann Road in Deming, New Mexico.
McCann Road?
He lives on McCann Road in Deming, New Mexico.
And it says it's not named after you?
It says I'm one of his favorites, but not because of my last name. But that's the street he lives on. I didn't know there was a
McCann Road.
I hope it's a straight road and not a crooked road.
There's a Fowler Road in a lot of towns, but it doesn't have anything to do with me.
That one doesn't have anything to do with me, but Dirk, we're glad you're on the Wise Guys. And we're going to pay a lot of attention to our live stream tonight. So you got opinions on what we're talking about with the quarterbacks and all that stuff, let us know. We'll share it with everybody.
Let us know. What's more important to you? Is it more important as fans that somebody that played a whole season and won a championship, should that weigh heavier than Jake Retzlaff having more reps in a game in this offense?
Yeah.
Like, what's more important? What's the key?
And Glenn, are people wandering around the Philippines wondering who the heck's going to be the starting quarterback?
I know Glenn is. I know Glenn is.
Then let us know. What we do know since we were last together is that Ben Bywater won't be playing this season. Retired, recovery from his shoulder surgery, his second one, just didn't leave him with a whole lot of room for error. You know, your shoulders put back together, but you get hit again and you could be in much bigger trouble. So they lose Ben Bywater, who's been the leading tackler whenever he's been on the field the last 2.5 seasons. And we love Ben. He was on this show and such a great personality, a great representative of what a BYU student athlete is. He's already graduated in finance but dang, we were hoping to see him on the field.
Yeah, he's such a great downhill player and so physical. And you know, he talked about when he had this last dislocation, when he dislocated his shoulder, it came out the bottom, and the nerve that wraps around and basically supplies the function to that front deltoid really hasn't healed up and gotten firing again. No. So no matter what he's done, he can't get the front part of his shoulder strengthened, which is just
need that for a linebacker.
Recipe for disaster to go out and hit on that thing and re-dislocate it, and then now you're talking about getting a total shoulder replacement at 24 or 25 years old, which is no good.
No.
And so he's, at least for now, he did leave a little bit of a door open, saying that he's not going to play this year, not closing the door on forever if somehow they can get that thing to fire. But let's be. He's devastated by it, and rightly so. But he's keeping a great attitude about it and saying, hey, I got to move on and figure out, what this next chapter of my life looks like.
Yeah.
BYU will miss his leadership for sure.
So he's going to coach the linebackers, or at least help coach the linebackers this season. So he's still near the program, just doing it differently. The great Ben Bywater, they got depth at linebacker, so they feel pretty good.
Well, they bring in Jack Kelly this year, who
Weber State transfer.
Oh man. Like, he just looked good again tonight.
He's got to stay healthy.
Yeah, we got to keep that guy.
Got to stay healthy.
He is a tackling machine. He looks like an NFL linebacker. He's built like an NFL linebacker. He runs like an NFL linebacker. Man, can BYU just keep nice things and not have him get hurt? Let's knock on wood. Let's keep that guy healthy. And that starting group right now, excuse me, when they line up in a 4-3, and they have him on one side and Isaiah Glasker on the other side, that's two guys that can really run and cover a ton of ground, yet they can play downhill and physical. And then Taggart is a stocky, prototypical BYU middle backer that likes to step up and play downhill and hit people.
And we saw him last year.
Yeah, and he was just kind of getting his feet wet and coming back, and he knows what's going on now. And when we're watching them line up, those are the first three out there. They have good depth at all of those positions as well. We saw a number of guys have to play last year because of injuries, but those three starters, those are as good as anybody in the league has. Those three guys.
Hey, tomorrow night, after further reviews back on BYU TV, we have the schedule show. We'll roll through the entire fall slate, blow by blow. I saw a quote on the live stream. I'm trying to figure out who it was. It's kind of moved on. They're looking forward to going up to play on the hill and bring the smoke to the Utes.
I like that.
On November 9th.
Bring the smoke.
So we're going to go through all that, and that's at 5 o'clock Mountain Time Tuesday on the BYU TV app and BYUtv.org. And then after further reviews, also going to be available on ESPN Plus once the season starts.
Right, as soon as we get into
access to all of that, which will be good.
Yeah, and don't forget about our that game day show is something we have so much fun with. We're going to take you out onto Cougar Canyon before the games as the team comes in with all the activities going on there 2 hours before every home game. Season premieres on August 31st, 4 p.m. On BYU TV and ESPN Plus. That's the Southern Illinois game that's going to kick off at 6 p.m. on ESPN Plus. Game day, 4 p.m. Mountain on BYU TV and ESPN Plus. Live post-game show immediately following. Come back, and we'll have that in store for you every single game of the season, whether it's on the road or whether it's at home. We'll be doing that 2-hour pregame and a post-game show.
And we were talking about it earlier as we bring in one of our guests tonight who just popped into town. And when you pop into town, you can pop on the show.
Absolutely.
Shantel Hammond from Strategy Square, the owner who also does all of our social media for the Wise Guys. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So, what do you think of the place? We've only told you about the place, but now you've seen it.
Well, I see it a lot, behind the scenes and behind camera, but it's totally different in person. It's really fun to look at this.
Our guests that come, they love it because it's a casual environment, right?
Yeah.
But it's really fun. It's kind of retro.
But you have to tell me about the BYU baby.
Yeah, well, there's some unanswered questions that we don't even know
There's
about.
some things that we don't have the answer for.
Jack's got some things up there.
Jack will not reveal. Jack will not
There's
reveal.
a trophy cup up there that none of us won. I don't know what that is either.
Can you see, Beck, Shantel, where the University of Utah emblem is? You can see it on the monitor.
Yeah.
It wasn't a more prominent place, and everybody got a little upset, so we had to move it.
We had to move
it where it's not quite as visible.
You got to give the people what they want.
What's going to be cool is in 2 weeks, we're going to have the president of the University of Utah right there and the president of BYU right here, and then Blaine and I over here. It'll be the first time they've ever just hung out on a live stream show before the Big 12 starts, and now they're back in the same conferences together. And so this room, our street cred here in the neighborhood is going to go up starting right now and then in the next couple of weeks. But as you tell us about Strategy Square and what you've got going on.
Yeah, well, I started Strategy Square out of a need to help business owners find their confidence in whether it's marketing or even just their business strategy. I think for so many business owners, it's a lack of clarity around their goals and the strategy and how to get from where they are to where they want to go. And for so many of them, I found that they just, they hear there's information coming at you from a million different directions about what you need to do or what you should be doing. And for most of them, for a lot of entrepreneurs, we get frozen and we just don't really know where to go next. And so with Strategy Square, we help entrepreneurs figure out the steps that they need to take to achieve their goals, and then we provide services for them if they need help with those steps. But the goal is give them the confidence that they need to move forward and take action and build their dreams. So
and you've really helped us. It's just a burgeoning, growing entity and enterprise.
Seeking worldwide domination.
Yes, seeking to, we already have worldwide domination.
On your way.
But we want to be bigger. But we always want to be bigger. I feel like this is the most global podcast of anything related to BYU.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's not even close, right? We're with 5 continents.
Unless it's one of the brethren up in Salt Lake, but they're in Salt Lake. We're down here.
But you've helped us navigate that, and we wanted people to get a chance to meet you because not only are you a sponsor of the show, but you have come on board to help direct us in the way we do our social media and the posts and all that kind of stuff. So, folks, if you like the things that you see when you go to the website or when you follow us on Instagram or Twitter or whatever, this is who's behind that. And helps us navigate that. Yeah. We appreciate that very much.
Thank you. I love being part of Wise Guys. It's just fun.
Well, you and your husband dropped off your daughter to Cougarette camp today, so that's about as true blue gets.
She was born at BYU, and one of her early pictures, she was surrounded by all the Cougarettes, and she's 1 year old, and so it's fun to have her in. She's 17 now, and having her at BYU Cougarette camp for her 3rd year is really fun.
That's awesome. So what is your favorite BYU moment for you guys?
Well, for me, my favorite BYU moments are tied to our time on campus. I think I can't even tell you, who were we playing when we took Lucy to her first game? We took our daughter to her first BYU football game. She was 3 weeks old.
Oh yeah.
And
did she have like
headphones on?
No, we had no clue what we were doing. So, but we went to like the very top of the stadium. It was freezing. We're wrapped in blankets, and that's a fun memory for me. I would say in terms of BYU moments though, that came, was that a year later when we beat Utah, third down and.
Oh, third and for our 4th and 18.
You fourth and 18.
Fourth and 18.
Yeah,
we stormed the field.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That was against Utah. That was our last year before we graduated and moved away, and so that's
pretty
top
cool.
moment for me.
That's a good. Yeah. 4th and 18 is a lot of people's favorite memory.
Yeah.
So, including Austin Collie, who's been on the show multiple times. So,
we know you've got a flight to catch.
I do.
And so we're glad that you could swing by and check it out because you live in Colorado.
I do.
But the beauty of technology is that you're with us all the time. Where do you see Wise Guys going? What can we get done with this show?
Man, I think you guys have that ability to connect and reach out to all these big names within the community, and I think you can take it to a place where, I mean, you're already worldwide, but we're looking over 1 million impressions a month, and that's within the next few months here. So you guys can take this off the charts if we keep going with it.
If we can just do impressive impressions, we really have it made.
Yes.
We're working on that.
Dave always wants to do impressions, and I tell him he can't do impressions on the show. So
different kind of impressions.
Hey, and by the way, since your daughter's at Cougarette with the Cougs at Cougarette camp, the most successful program in all of BYU, hands down, Cougarettes. They've won more national championships than any other program. It's not even close. So I ran into Stacy Johnson the other day, the head coach. What is Stacy's my married name? I don't even know. Anyhow, I know her as Stacy Johnson. And I told her about the show. She said, I heard about the show. Her brother Scott Johnson was BYU starting corner for a couple years. And I said, it's a shame we haven't had the most successful program coach in all of BYU on the show. And she goes, I want to come on the show then.
Let's do it.
I said, so we're going to get Stacy come on, and we're going to talk about what it takes to win multiple championships.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like every year they
go
one,
just the one you guys got.
No, I've got
multiple.
one. She's got like they've got 20 something.
Their consistency is unbelievable.
So we're gonna get her on, and we'll talk Cougarettes.
Well, and
one
Coach
night.
St. Pierre too,
yes.
and with she's in Cougarettes and her husband's in with rugby.
That's true. We'll get them both on.
We can give them some nudges.
Yeah, she said let's do it. I want to do it. So we're gonna get her on.
I love it.
Where can folks get more information on Strategy Square and support another BYU alum doing good?
Well, if you have questions, you can either email me directly at Shantel@strategysquare.co, or visit our website at strategysquare.co.
Okay.
Awesome.
Thanks for being patient with us.
Thank you.
Nice to see you. We'll talk to you soon.
Yes.
Thanks for taking care of
Have
us.
a safe trip home, and you're going to stay here because you got to bring your daughter home with you, so you have a great week.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thanks,
you.
Shantel.
See you guys.
Hey, let's talk about Cougar Kickoff. DJ, if you can put that graphic up, and that'll give us a chance to we're right there. We're talking about this week, Wednesday night, 6 to 8 p.m. at the West Campus Fields. That's the old Provo High School, where we had the alumni game. Remember that?
That's right, yeah.
Come meet the student athletes. There are going to be giveaways, food trucks, performances, a chance to hang out with everybody. It'll be hot, but nice. And this is it. After this kickoff, the soccer team's in action. It's all on.
Yeah.
And we march, of course, to August 31st in the football opener. But I'm thinking about those Provo fields, and I'm kind of thinking that's where the medical school.
I think the medical school's going to be there too.
They haven't said anything, but that just seems like such a logical spot.
Yeah, I think it sure makes sense that it could be there, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's so close to that Intermountain Hospital right there that's going to be affiliated with the program. It just makes sense.
Right in the neighborhood. So that's Wednesday for those of you here in the state of Utah. And for those of you around the world on the live stream, that's just what's going on here. We apologize that you can't make it, but hey, things happen.
Yeah. Well, and we'll give you a review of it.
We'll
next
give
week.
you an update.
That's right.
So some cool things were announced last week, including the uniforms. So remember, last year and the last few years, they'll roll out the uniforms like the week of, and kind of a big reveal. And this Saturday, we're wearing the whites or the royals or the blacks or the navies. And so this year, they decided we're doing it all at once so that everyone has plenty of advance notice as to what color shirt to wear to either a home game or a road game. And so they sent them out there, and we thought we'd go over them.
All 12 color schemes for the season.
And we, of course, start with Southern Illinois. Let us know what you think on the stream, if you think it's a good idea or not. But against Southern Illinois, they're coming out royal head to toe with white face masks. Seems like that's going to be an awesome look.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. They've worn this before, and I think the face mask pop when they're royal head to toe with the white face mask.
So night game under the lights in royals, and when they come strolling out with fireworks, it's going to be quite the scene.
Yeah, then they head out on the road to SMU. They wear white jerseys and pants with a Navy helmet.
That's going to look good.
With Navy trim on the shirts and on the pants with that Navy helmet. That's a pretty classic look as well.
And I imagine SMU will be in their red home jerseys, so that'll be a nice color clash. That'll be cool. When they go to Wyoming, white shirts and pants with the Royal helmet. So they're going to switch out the Navy for the Royal, and that's going to look pretty cool.
See, and I'm a Royal fan, so because I feel like it's the traditional one, and Royal's it. So, hey, and by the way, Lynn Hazelwood says, bring on the ballroom dance team.
Okay, Lynn, we'll do it.
Lynn, we hear you.
We're no respecter of national champion.
We like when we have national champs, we need to bring them on. So we're with you. Maybe we bring them. Maybe that we have that be a show where we bring Cougarettes and
that'd be good.
Talk about.
They could show us some new moves.
Those are really visible programs around the country and around the world. So now we go from Wyoming, Kansas State at home. Don't you love that they're going back with the same uniforms that BYU wore in '96 when they beat K-State in the Cotton Bowl and finished number 5 in the country? That's the Steve Sarkisian team. Kansas State, 1996 throwbacks, white shirts and pants with a white helmet.
I like that color scheme with the royal jersey
trim
number
on everything.
Trim.
Royal trim, and remember it has the black shading.
Yeah.
So it has the shading on the royal trim.
Do you think they'll slide Chad Lewis out there at tight end?
They need Chad Lewis. You know what? They could use Omar and Tim McTire at the corners.
Or just slide in a couple.
Yeah.
See what happens. They're going to go to Baylor, and they're going to wear white shirts, pants, royal trim with a white helmet. That's as clean a look as it gets. I love that look.
Yeah. And then Arizona at home, royal shirts, white pants, white helmet, royal face mask. That seems like the Kalani uniform, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The old Kalani home days.
Yeah. When Oak State comes in on a Friday night on ESPN, they're coming out with the royal shirts, white pants, white helmet with the white face mask. That's going to be good looking.
I like that.
Good looking.
On road in Florida, at Central Florida, navy pants, white shirt, navy helmet.
They might want to come out in tank tops and shorts.
That's a good look. Yeah, it could be hot. Yeah, it could be hot.
Yeah, that is going to be a good look.
The next one's the most important to me, so you go ahead and reveal it, and I want to say something about it.
So they're going to go up to Salt Lake, and they'll play the Utes, and they're going to be royal from head to toe.
Royal helmets, royal shirts, royal pants,
royal
white
socks, white trim. That's going to look good. And go up against the Utes.
Guess what their record is in that combo?
What?
3-0.
3-0. I'm going to make a note of that right here. The Utes will probably come out all crimson.
Never lost.
That is going to be an awesome clash of colors up there.
I like that they wear an undefeated uni combo.
Yeah, that's good. When Kansas comes to Provo, the Cougars will be in royal shirts, white pants, and royal helmets.
Yeah, that's a pretty look. So remember, Kalani loves the royal because that's traditional, but they wore white helmets with a royal Y on it when he played. They never wore the royal helmets when he played. I think that's a good look, though. Yeah. At Arizona State, white shirts, royal pants, royal helmets, white face mask. That's pretty traditional right there.
Down there at Sun Devil Stadium.
That's like old school. That's a combo that BYU's worn for years. Maybe not with a white face mask, but I do remember even back in the 80s, for some reason I remember Adam Haysbert always having a white face mask. When he's catching that go-ahead touchdown against Pittsburgh, the white face mask stands out in my mind.
So when they roll out of the locker room down there the Saturday before Thanksgiving, and BYU has more fans than the Sun Devils,
it's going to be a takeover.
This is the uniform you're going to see take the field.
It's a takeover.
It's going to be awesome. And Max Hall is going to be our sideline reporter with Spencer Linton on game day, so that'll be fun.
That'll be fun. The last one, Houston at home, navy shirt, white pants, navy helmet. So all navy on the top, white on the bottom, navy trim on the pants.
Yeah. And that's going to be, that could be a game that gets you bowl eligible.
Yeah.
You know, and who knows, might be in the snow. Navy shirt, white pants, navy helmet.
It's interesting. I put a lot of stock in these first 3 games. They go out and handle their business in these first 3 games. They may get bowl eligible way before anybody thinks they will.
I hope so.
So, and we're going to talk about the schedule in just a bit, but BYU has one of the toughest schedules in the league. But I do like that they play the tough teams at home.
Yeah.
And BYU figures out a way to win at home, especially if it's at night. Let's hope for all those games to be at night.
Mark Actual on the stream. Here's the question of the night. How much time have Dave and Blaine spent playing college football? 25. I've spent 0 seconds.
I haven't had 1 minute on the controllers, but my grandsons were in town all this week.
You got at the house?
Oh, I was watching them all week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got it. We'll get on there.
We'll play. When the grandsons are in town, I'm down the priority list of who gets to play.
Let me give you an update on the flyovers. There'll be no flyover for Southern Illinois. That's a new development. There are 3 in the works for other home games, and the kickoff times are the factors there. And we vow to keep you posted. We also promise to have the pilots on Wise Guys before they buzz the stadium.
That's right.
But, that's the situation. So there'll be fireworks in the sky. There won't be jets on August 31st. Today, the coaches poll preseason numbers came up. It's the first poll of the year. The AP Top 25 comes out next week. So in the preseason coaches poll, Georgia's number 1. That's going to be a popular pick across all these preseason polls. But the coaches poll, they have Utah at 13, Kansas State at 17, Oklahoma State at 18, Arizona at 21, Kansas at 24, and SMU and UCF getting votes. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of BYU's opponents. 8 either in the top 25 or getting some votes in the coaches poll. Yeah, seems about right.
So here's what I was talking about, and I knew we were going to get to this next, so I didn't go right into it. But so yeah, BYU's got one of the toughest schedules in the league. In fact, one of the toughest schedules in the country, and they play how many of these teams? They play Utah, Kansas State, Oklahoma State, Arizona, and Kansas.
Yeah.
Right? But here's the good news. They play at Utah, which I'm not sure that it makes a huge difference in that rivalry, right?
All right.
They got Kansas State, Oklahoma State, Arizona, and Kansas all at home. So the other 4 ranked teams that they play that are ranked in this preseason, they have at home. Kansas State, Arizona, Oklahoma State, and Kansas all at home.
I love that. Seems like you have home field advantage.
Yeah, and you know what? You get a chance to upset some ranked teams at home. And if you get things going, well enough, maybe you get ranked because of it. So the only ranked team preseason that BYU plays on the road is Utah.
Think about last year. They opened at Kansas. Big game for Kansas. They've got to turn the corner in their program. BYU's ahead at halftime. If that game's at Provo, does BYU win that game? Very good chance. Very good chance that they do. Kansas
BYU can beat anybody at home if they get it rolling and that student section gets going. So guess how many of these ranked teams in the league Utah plays? 2.
Yeah. I think that's why half the guys are thinking, they got a chance at a special season because they have one of the easiest, on paper, easiest schedules in the conference. But BYU's going to go up there on November 9th. That's not going to be easy, and that's not listed as one of their super tough games. So the people not listing that don't know about the rivalry.
Right. That game's tough no matter what the teams are ranked, and we've figured that out over the years. And we're talking about even when BYU had the upper hand and Utah was the underdog. That game was never a game that you just penciled in as a win. No matter how bad Utah was or no matter how bad BYU was, you don't pencil it in. So, yeah, Utah does play at Oklahoma State. So that's what, number 18. They play at number 18. I think that's a tough one. But they have Arizona at home. They play at Houston. Their road schedule is just such that, they play at Colorado. They play at Central Florida. They just
Central Florida is going to be tough for everybody.
I feel like they've got some of their tougher games, but they play Iowa State at home. Yeah. They've they got BYU at home. They have TCU at home. Arizona at home, but they don't see Kansas State.
No,
they don't see West Virginia. These teams that will match up physically with Utah, they don't have them on the schedule.
Yeah, they dodge bullets on that.
Yeah,
one.
That's why people are so bullish on the possibility that they have a chance to win the league.
So our friend Brett McMurphy, who comes on BYU Sports Nation all the time, he posted his AP Top 25 ballot today. Again, that poll comes out next Monday, and that's kind of, if there's a legitimate poll, it's the AP Top 25. He's got Oregon number 1 in his poll, and then Georgia, and then Ohio State. And then he starts with the Big 12 teams, Utah at 10, Kansas State at 11, Oklahoma State at 12. So he's got them a lot higher than the coaches. Iowa State at 23. I don't know why they're not in the coaches poll. And then Kansas at 25. And then if you go a little further, he's got Arizona at 26 and SMU at 36. So BYU's going to face 6 teams in McMurphy's top 36, including 3 in his top 12.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's why when we're talking, we're going, and people are saying, what are they going to do? And I'm saying people are underestimating BYU if they don't think they can get bowl eligible this year. But I'm not going out here and saying, hey, BYU wins 9 games this year, because I realize they have one of the toughest schedules in the country this year. Right? They certainly have one of the toughest in the Big 12.
Yeah.
Playing all of the ranked teams in the Big 12. And so, yeah, nobody on this show is saying, hey, BYU's going to win 9 or 10 games. Now, we're not saying they can't, but that's not what we're saying. We're saying thinking that they're only going to win 4 games is way underestimating what this team can do.
We think they can get to 7 or 8. If you get to 7, why can't you get 8?
Especially where they play these tough teams at home.
Yeah. Well, we're getting close. 2 weeks from Saturday, Florida State plays Georgia Tech in Ireland. BYU opponent SMU's at Nevada. Delaware State's at Hawaii. And Montana State is in Albuquerque for Bronco Mendenhall's Lobo debut as the head coach at New Mexico. That's 2 weeks from Saturday, so we're getting that close. But we got football before we get to there.
NFL preseason's like going. The roster's cut to 53 on August 27th.
And they do it all on the same day now.
It used to be first cuts, and they'd cut from 80 to this, and then this to this, and then finally to 53. Now they just keep everybody and just cut them, although
Dax Milne got cut last week by the Commanders.
They released, which is surprising because he's been kind of a staple there.
Yeah, they got a new staff now and new things. So let's run down who's doing what. Heather Olmstead's going to join us in just a couple of minutes here on the Wise Guys, live on Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, and wiseguys.com, certainly presented by our friends BradyPlus. So we've got football starting Thursday in the NFL, and we don't know if these Cougars will be playing. Their teams will be in action.
Right.
The young guys will certainly be playing, and those vying for a position, and some of the vets won't. But let's run down.
Yeah, this first one, I don't know if either of these guys will play much, because you got the Panthers and Brady Christensen against the Patriots and Sione Takitaki. Like, it's funny to say this, that Brady in just his second year is established, but he's established.
Right.
And so these are starters, and so I don't know how much they'll play in that one.
The Lions play the Giants Thursday. Caleb Hayes will be playing.
Right.
He's trying to get a job.
Young guy trying to get a job.
And then on Friday, the Falcons' Tyler Algier. Not sure if Tyler will play. Dolphins' Chris Brooks. He is going to play.
He'll play for sure. And Tyler's an established guy.
Yeah.
So who knows? I'm sure he'll take some snaps. The Eagles at the Ravens on Friday. Also, Kyle Van Noy. Will Kyle play? I don't know.
Probably not.
He's probably not. He's an established star, longtime star, so who knows?
Max Tooley will be playing for the Texans against the Steelers on Friday.
And good things coming out of camp from Max Tooley. He's turning some heads, so that's fun.
They played in the alumni or the Hall of Fame game. He had a couple of tackles in the second half, and then a storm came in, and they just called it. He was going to get a lot of action in that game.
So Saturday, the Jets are at the Commanders. Michael Davis is with the Commanders now, and will Michael play? Maybe, because it's a new team, but Michael's an established starter in this league. He started at corner for a lot of years with the Chargers. So
here's a big one. The Raiders are at the Vikings. Jaron Hall. He's never even mentioned in the quarterback battle in Minnesota. So whatever time he gets against the Raiders in any of these preseason games, he's got to produce.
Right. And then also on Saturday, the Packers with Zane Anderson are at the Browns. Aiden Robbins.
Trying to get a job.
Trying to get a job. And Zane's working to get a job as well. So we'll probably see both of those guys.
Like to report, we don't believe Robbins has broken ribs. So that's good.
That's good.
It's a better August for him.
Yeah.
49ers, Fred Warner will not be playing against the Titans.
Is there any reason to play Fred Warner a single down? No. So one of the top 15 players, what they had him number 11?
Yeah, number
overall.
11. Voted by the players.
In the top 100 by the players in the National Football League. That tells you all you need to know. And it's clearly the best linebacker in the league. The Chiefs, Kingsley Suamataia at the Jags. Kingsley's having a good fall camp.
Yeah. The Bucs are at the Bengals. Ryan Rico, he's going to be punting.
Yep, there you go.
He's trying to win that job.
Seahawks are at the Chargers. Chris Wilcox, currently with the Chargers. Can he fill the Michael Davis position with the Chargers?
I hope he can. The Saints, by the way, Taysom Hill, Jamal Williams, and now Samson Nakua, who signed with the Saints this week. I have a feeling that Samson probably will see some time. There's no reason to put Taysom out there.
Taysom's not going to play.
Or Jamal, for that matter. And the Cardinals have Kyrus Tonga, and I don't know if they're going to roll him out there this week.
Yeah, who knows?
Now, next week, they'll all be in.
Yeah. And then Sunday, so we cap off the week with Sunday.
This is a big one.
Yeah, the Broncos with Zach Wilson. At the Colts, Keaton Slovis and Blake Freeland, both with the Colts. Blake's established himself as a starter there for the Colts. So Zach needs some playing time and needs to play well. And then we finish up on Sunday with the Cowboys at the Rams. Puka Nacua, he's week to week with a minor knee injury. He'll be back. There's no way in the world they put him out of the field in the preseason game.
Not a chance.
He's also in the top 100 players in the National Football League.
Yeah. How about that in 1 year?
Yeah.
We've got more Olympic news with our former and current Cougars coming up in just a moment. Our next guest is part of the greatest brother-sister coaching tandem in the history of college volleyball, and certainly at BYU. Heather Olmstead has 238 wins over 9 seasons with the women's program. Her .869 winning percentage is the highest of any women's volleyball coach in NCAA Division I history. Her brother Sean has 241 career wins at BYU, including 4 seasons as the women's head coach, and he's been at the helm of the men's program since 2015. We had Sean on in January. It's our pleasure to welcome Heather to set the record straight here in August as she gets ready for the Big 12. Hey, Coach, good to see you.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, we can hear you great.
Okay. Thanks for having me. I don't know what record I'm setting straight, but I'll do the best I can.
Sean's ducking you because we were going to get you guys on here together. He said he was going to come on so that any nonsense that he spewed, you could just fix. But now he ducks out because he said he had a coach.
Everything I say is just the way it's going to be, and that's the story, and that's where it ends.
That's exactly how we're going to do it.
We believe you anyhow. We love Sean, but we believe you anyhow.
Love it.
Listen, Coach, combine the Olmsteads need 21 more victories to get 500 as coaches at BYU. Do you appreciate how unique this is?
Yeah, I didn't know that. You guys are telling me all sorts of facts I didn't know. Yeah, absolutely. When Sean hired me in 2011, I believed in his vision and what he thought BYU volleyball could become. It had been places gone, incredible places with Elaine Michaelis and some of the coaches before.
Yeah.
But never would have dreamed, we'd both be running our own programs and have this success. But credit to BYU and the players. It's all about the staffs and the players and the people you surround yourself with.
We call you the first family of volleyball, right? What's this been like for your mom and dad, Richard and Trudy, to participate? They've really been a part of this all along the way with you both here. What's it been like for your family to be such a big part of it?
Yeah, if you'd ask my sisters, I'm pretty close with a lot of my sisters. I have a twin sister, and my mom I'm very close with. They would tell you honestly a lot of stress, but really I think they love to be along for the ride. They're so supportive. My parents, my siblings, obviously Sean of one another. I try to go to all his games when I'm in town. It's almost year-round volleyball, right? They get the summers off where they can relax and de-stress, and then they're back at it in the fall and winter. So we don't give them much of a break. But they're the best support system I could have, and I'm very grateful for them and everything they've taught me and the support they give me.
Now, just between us here tonight and the world, who are they most proud of, you or Sean?
Oh, gosh. Well, Sean's got all the natties. So how do you go wrong with a player? He's been multiple as a coach, in the finals. I know he's still chasing that elusive one as a coach, and so am I for the women. Yeah. But I think it'd have to be Sean with all his success and he's decorated. I tried to do my best in college, and I think a lot of, my credit comes from my coaching and from the players. And so I wasn't that good of a player. So probably Sean.
Wait, what if we asked Sean the same question? What would he say?
He's always given credit, to me when he needs to or wants to. He was so great when I was his assistant. He really built me up and gave me a lot of the confidence to be able to do this job. So, hopefully he'd say himself. I don't know how you argue with actual national championship rings. I don't know.
That does make it tough.
Yeah.
That does make it tough.
The natties don't lie, right? The natties don't lie.
It's not all about winning, for us. It's about, for me, how we're affecting these young women's lives. And together, him and I have affected quite a few. I just actually was I just met up with Alexa Gray, who played from 2012 to 15. And I cannot believe she's played pro for 10 years, and she said, wow. Heather, I got to leave because I'm going to go surprise Sean at volleyball practice. So that might be where he is, by the way.
Yeah.
And so she went from visiting with me to go visiting with Sean, and those relationships that you get to foster. And she's played 10 years. She's playing in Turkey next year. One of my favorite people, and that's what it's all about. It's not all about. And we lost in the finals with Alexa Gray. Sean was the head coach, but it's about that relationship that 10 years later, we're still tight and we'll do anything for each other.
Yeah, and it's interesting because she's gone on and played, and you have a number that have gone on and played and done great things. But you also have a bunch of women that come from this program, men that come through Sean's program, that when they're done, they're kind of done. They're just as important. You stay just as connected with those folks too, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Just my favorite moments or days are when I get texts from players or calls. I just got notified McKenna Miller had her second baby. Kennedy Eschenberg, Redding Eschenberg had her second baby. And it's not what it's all about. We've got players that have been, our nurses. Amy Boswell's a nurse in Texas. And just when you get text messages about life monumental moments that they want to share with you, whether it's family or career or successes, or even some of the sad moments, the trials and the struggles that they share with you. That's what it's all about. Those are my favorite days when I get to connect with my former players. Because I think the players, when you're in it and you're coaching them, it's a grind and they don't see big picture. And I think that's, it's rewarding down the road after you're in the grind with the players.
BYU women's volleyball head coach Heather Olmstead is on the Wise Guys, presented by BradyPlus, largest integrated provider of cleaning, food service, and packaging supplies in the United States. Here's our last Sean question. How have you and your 5 sisters managed to shape his life?
Gosh, yeah, I guess that's a good question for him. But we just grew up in a really loving, hardworking, competitive family, and so. He jokes that he's always been around women most of his life, coaching women's volleyball, and finally, got that chance to go coach men. So I'd like to think we prepared him, just for coaching, women, men, having his own girls. He's got a couple daughters of himself, and so just the ability to just communicate and have good family relationships is what it's all about. And so I don't know, you have to ask him.
All I know is I've got 4 daughters and a boy, and there were times when I'd come home from work at night and they had still left a boy in his dress up clothes as a girl. They dressed him up in all of their clothes, and he didn't have much of a choice because he was the little guy. You didn't torment him that way, did you?
We didn't do that. It was actually the opposite. Nicole, my twin, and I were trying to always hang out with him, and he was a little bit in the cowboy surfer jock group, like in Carpinteria, California, where we're from. It was a very small school. So we lived on the beach. We had the cowboys, the surfers, and then he started men's volleyball or boys volleyball at high school. So he was able to get that going in Carpinteria. So he had a lot of different interests, and we tried to tag along, and I think that's where, we just were able to compete with each other as siblings, and Sean let us tag along and I found my love of country music hanging out with Sean and some of his friends. And so, I think it was opposite. We just tried to tag along with him and keep up with him, and I think that kind of bred a little bit of greatness in me and my sisters.
Yeah, well, I'm an only boy, so I have 3 sisters, and I have a screw loose because
he's got a lot of screws.
But I'm who I am. Like, I'm very unique because I grew up with only sisters, and I wouldn't do it any other way. So Sean's lucky. I want to ask you, you both, you and Sean, were really good athletes growing up. So you could have done a lot of things in your youth. And everybody's pulling, hey, come play this, come play that. What drew you both to volleyball? Why volleyball, and why not some other sport?
Well, my dad played volleyball at Church College of Hawaii before it was BYU Hawaii, and he met my mom. And so he's played a lot of different sports, but we grew up with the volleyball in the home. We grew up on the beaches of Carpinteria, and that really was our first love. My first love was going to the beach with my dad and my siblings and peppering, just, you bump, set, spike it back and forth. And just got really good at playing sand and grew for a love of indoor. And I ventured a little bit in basketball, but volleyball, for some reason, just I connected with the competitive nature of volleyball. I love the two versus two, and then eventually the 6 versus 6. And so I think it's something we were just raised with, and they never forced it on us. We were able to try a lot of different sports, but volleyball stuck with 4 of us out of 7 played college volleyball. And so it's something we all connect with and that we can do together and have fun with and talk about and really just learned how to do hard things. And our dad was our coach different times for all of us at high school. And it was just really a neat thing for our family that we didn't know at the time was going to be into something this big as me and Sean are coaching Division I volleyball. So had we known, I maybe would have paid attention a little bit more to my dad and coaching and all that. I didn't know I was going to be a coach. So I think there's still a lot for me to learn.
If you think about the volleyball and the impact on your life, not only your education, but your employment, but also the places that it's taken you to. What are some of the coolest places you've gone to because of that round volleyball?
Oh, my gosh, that's unbelievable. Okay, we went on the trip of a lifetime last summer. We were able to take our BYU women's team to Egypt, Turkey, and Greece. So,
wow.
Best trip I've ever been on. And kudos to BYU and just the supporters. We had some donors that helped make it happen. We went to China in 2016. We were able to play a lot of good volleyball out there and go to the Great Wall. That was incredible. I played professionally in Croatia, so I'm biased towards just Croatia and the land over there and the people. I've been back multiple times to Croatia, but I've been all over. Been to Brazil and Argentina with Sean in 2012. Love that. Been to Canada. I've been all over, and so hard to say, but I'll say the trip we took last year with our team as we headed into the Big 12. That was pretty powerful for us as we were about to do something and embark on something new, entering a new conference and kind of, leaving the West Coast, entering the Big 12. That was a big bonding trip for us this past summer, and to see different cultures and people and share the gospel in different ways was really cool.
I felt like, did I remember you guys riding camels?
Oh, yeah.
The whole thing.
And the pyramids, how were they? Were they cool?
Yeah, they're as advertised. They're unbelievable. They're you can have such however you want to call it, spiritual experiences there as far as just the beauty of the earth and understanding the history and the time period of what these pyramids were built for and how they functioned. And we had a wonderful trip. And they're as cool as you hear about and see. And I feel like that trip maybe went viral, and a lot of people felt like they were there with us on that trip. I get a lot of questions about that trip, and I think our social media team does a great job, and our staff, and we really wanted, Cougar Nation to see, like, look, we're not just volleyball players, but we want to experience the world. And I had players that came and thanked me. They're going to be sophomores this year that said, I never would have thought that I wanted to play pro, and now I can see myself living in Turkey, living in Italy, Greece, and playing professional volleyball. That was huge. Whether they do it or not, I don't care. I just want to know what their dreams are and how can we, catch those dreams for them and help them accomplish them. And for anyone that has a dream to play professional volleyball after BYU, we want to help it come true. And now with the two leagues in the U.S., the pro leagues, and we've had more players, like you mentioned, playing ever. Yeah. It's just a cool time to be playing women's volleyball.
Really is cool. It's our pleasure to have BYU Women's Volleyball head coach Heather Olmstead on the Wise Guys live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, ysguys.com. Heather, by the way, last week we were in 5 continents on the live stream. 5 continents.
Amazing.
Yeah, the people get up at 10 o'clock in the morning in Japan and listen to it's crazy to us that this BYU fan base is literally all over the world. You guys have traveled around the world and interacted with some of us. So cool.
We feel it for sure when we get to go play all over, and we feel the love, and it's incredible what people do to support us. And so now I feel like there's more pressure on me to say something like important to everyone who's watching.
Okay. It's always important for you to say something important.
They're just excited. Everybody around the world is just excited that you're spending some time with us, and in turn spending some time with them. So we're taking you around the world with us. You mentioned the first season of the Big 12 last year and how valuable that trip was. So now here comes season 2. It's about here. Texas is gone, but we got Arizona State, Utah, and Colorado. They've arrived. They're in the league. The league's a little different. What do you think of this new league with these 4 teams and the 2 that are out? Your conference openers against Colorado on September 26th. So kind of give us a vibe on how this league's going to be with those that have left and the ones coming in.
Just when we thought, we knew we didn't know everything, but we got comfortable. 1 year in the Big 12, everything changes, and boom, you only have like 6 or 7 initial teams in the Big 12 that you thought you were going to have with this historic, conference that, got national champ. Texas has won a couple national championships, and now they're gone, and they were great to play last year. But, we'll play anytime, anywhere, any place, and so it's exciting. But again, we thought we had a little bit of the lay of the land, and then boom, you're hit with 4 new teams. Luckily, they're close. They're a little bit easier travel. Our fans understand more of the history. Obviously, playing Utah twice back in the olden days, and in the Mountain West we used to play twice. So that's going to be new and exciting again to play home and away. But it's exciting for the conference, and we're just grateful to be a part of it. And we'll do the best we can with the new cities and the new places. We're just hitting up some of the schools we didn't get last year. So we've never been to Iowa State. We've never been to Kansas. We've still never been to Texas Tech. And some of those schools are returning back to us, and we won't go to them this year. So it's a little funky with the schedule, but we're excited for who is coming to the Smith Fieldhouse, and we're excited to go on the road.
Season begins August 30th at the Fieldhouse. Non-conference slate includes Georgia Tech, San Diego from the WCC, and Oregon. What intrigues you about this schedule? You know, we got outside of conference play because you're a couple of weeks away from Battle.
Yeah, I think I'm excited about non-conference, just the opportunity we have to test ourselves before we get there with some really good teams. We're going back to San Diego, you know, our conference foe. I love Jen, what she's doing there, and play a Big Ten team in Oregon, and then local teams that are doing a great job. But I think it's just interesting playing the 4 teams twice, what that's going to look like, the Arizona State, Colorado, Utah series, and then everyone else once. I think, again, going places we haven't been, Iowa State and Kansas, those are new crowds. What we learned last year was every gym is rocking in the Big 12. It was what we get at the Smith Fieldhouse is what we get on the road. It was unbelievable. The matches were sold out. The bands were there. The road games in the Big 12 were really fun, and our team learned really quickly that we needed to be on our A game. And, you know, we learned a lot about ourselves, and I think that's going to serve us well this year because we're not going to be caught off guard with some of the environments and some of the, I won't even say hostile, just the competitive nature of the Big 12 and how competitive every team is. You cannot take a night off. We went 5 with Texas Tech last year at home and then swept them the next night in 3. You won't play those back-to-backs anymore, so that'll be nice. We'll have some rest and recovery in between matches, but I think the schedule intrigues me and just the competition. And, you know, the preseason poll is going to come out here, I think, tomorrow or the next day. And I think it's exciting. We like the role of underdog if that's how it comes out. We want to be, you know, we don't want to have high expectations for ourselves. It's just to come in every day, work hard, and see how good we can get by December and let our play speak for itself.
Those days of going into Pacific and Santa Clara and where your fans still outnumbered their fans compared to what you just described.
No.
I know you loved always having the support on the road, but isn't it so much more fun to go into Lubbock?
You know, it wasn't so fun, some of those matches where we lost. So I hear what you're saying.
Didn't lose very many.
It was absolutely, but it was just so cool to see how volleyball's grown across the country in different areas, and to see Cougar Nation come out in different states that I know the West Coast and our fans are so sad we're not going to those venues anymore, but just the exposure that we're getting on ESPN and the opportunity to be in different parts of the country for recruiting and for Cougar Nation. I mean, that's where we're at right now with these teams, and I think it could be changing who knows how much more. So yes, loved the support of the away teams. We'd like to play better at some of those venues, and we'll get a chance this year to play better and be better and know what to expect.
Yeah.
You know, you maybe, I don't know. You tell us if we're crazy. We always say that we always, and you can tell us, Heather. You know, you can tell us we're crazy. Like Blaine, Dave, you guys are crazy. I think the Smith Fieldhouse. You wouldn't be the
first.
I think the Smith Fieldhouse is not, if not the best, one of the best environments in college volleyball. And so you've given a lot of credit to the road, but come on, the Smith Fieldhouse has got to be the best place to play in this league. And how big of a weapon is that for you to have that environment in the Smith Fieldhouse to when you play these teams at home?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, our record at home speaks for itself, right? So you can go look at that. And, you know, it's a credit to our players and to obviously the community and to the rock that shows up. It is rocking every night, whether it's a Thursday, a Friday, or Saturday at 1 p.m. Everyone shows up for women's volleyball, and we appreciate that. We want to put on a good show. We want to entertain those that come, and our players have worked hard to put a good product on the floor. But yeah, I don't know that there's very many places that rival. I know we're 7th in the country last year in attendance, and we can only, I think we're at 5,000 multiple games, which is our max. We're at 5,500 or so, and so I agree with you. It's magical when you get inside the Smith Fieldhouse, and I think as much as some of the visitors, you know, don't want to admit it, just like I don't want to going on the road. There's no better place than the Smith Fieldhouse, and it's, I think, just in general with the fan engagement and what to do in between sets and the way that they get the fans involved in the rock. I think it's exciting. It's entertainment.
So, as the coach who has the highest winning percentage of any women's volleyball coach in NCAA Division I history, which is awesome, by the way, do you ever find yourself or allow yourself in the atmosphere you just described to just kind of stop and look around and go, man, this is really cool? Or is it just so much business when the game's on?
No, I usually do some of those matches that are sold out, I get the chills usually during the national anthem. I've been able to be a part of USA Volleyball the past couple summers. So I really, there's certain moments where you just feel, you get the goosebumps, and some of those pre-match opportunities when you look around, and then sometimes in the middle of the match when you literally can't hear each other, and we'll just look at the players in the huddle and say, this is so cool. And then I'm screaming at them of what to do, or kind of trying to communicate. So absolutely, I think multiple times a year I have that appreciation for who shows up to our matches, what the administration's done to support us, and then our players, how hard they work to be the reason people want to show up. It really is, the players are the magic, and we have a great staff, coaches Dave and Daniel and Haley and Dan, people that support us. But it's about the players, and I wish more people knew their stories, because they would fall in love with our players even more for how hard they work and things they've overcome, and what their dreams are and what they want to become, and what they're doing for BYU is pretty special.
We're going to bring them. We'll bring them on this show, and we're trying to feature, because if people knew the stories of all these athletes, so many incredible athletes at this university. So we're going to do our best to get as many of on as we can and tell their stories, help people understand that. We're
gonna hit you up with 5 quick questions here to finish up. But before we get to that, let me ask you about these student athletes. And we got a whole bunch of Cougars in the Olympics doing great things. But as you've been at BYU for a while now, and you look across the board at all these sports, is the level of the student athlete just so much more than it used to be? And it was great back then, but look at all your sports and all your colleagues. Everyone's winning.
Yeah, I think it's, contagious. I think, we love supporting women's soccer. I think Jen Rockwood's doing an incredible job. Men's volleyball, been in the finals, and you've got basketball and football, what Kalani's doing, and KY. So I think it is contagious, and you want to be a part of the winning tradition. And for us, that is BYU volleyball. What Elaine Michaelis has done, and the foundation that she's laid, we want to carry on that winning tradition. And the players come to BYU, and they know, there's expectations as far as standards go for, academics, athletics, socially, spiritually, and so they want to rise to those. If you lay those out for them, they want to meet those expectations, and I think that's across the board for all student athletes. They know what they're getting into when they commit and they come to BYU, and it's because they want something greater, and they want something special, and they want to be different, and they want to be pushed. And I think when we put that on our players, they rise to it, and they're incredible what they can do. And you're seeing that in these sports.
Absolutely.
Love it.
All right, here's the part of the show where you will be judged.
Yes, because we kept Sean's answers just to see how yours compare to Sean's.
So these are 5 quick questions presented by Strategy Square, delivering connection, clarity, and confidence in business and marketing strategies. Sean was asked these same questions on January 6th. Okay. So we'll ask you, and then.
But this it really doesn't have anything to do with Sean. It's you just whatever comes to the top of your mind, you immediately just throw it out there.
Okay.
Yeah. But we may ask you what you thought Sean's was, because brothers and sisters know each other.
They know each other really well.
You guys almost have 500 victories together.
And Sean's older. How much older is Sean?
Sean's 3 years older.
So even though he's older, we know you raised him because. Because sisters raise their brothers, and they're way more immature. So
I got 5 younger sisters, so I've had 6 mothers my whole life.
We know you raised them, so we want to see if you know what was going through his head. So we're gonna start with number 1, favorite sports movie.
Oh gosh,
yeah,
that's a tough one. Remember the Titans. I just love the music. It's so good.
I love that you picked a football movie.
I love it too, but I have to tell you, that's our number 1.
Can I change it though?
Okay, you can change it.
It's actually Nadia. I grew up watching Nadia. I don't know if you've seen it.
Is this the Nadia Comaneci documentary?
Yes.
Yeah.
I grew up watching Nadia, but Remember the Titans got soundtrack, and I just love that movie.
I remember Nadia's theme that was played on the radio.
Yeah. No.
So, all right, Nadia. Titans, it's just like
story.
that football was out in gymnastics.
Remember the Titans is the number 1. So in 2.5 years of doing the show, it's the number 1 picked.
So good.
By the way,
what do you think Sean picked? I want to see what she thinks Sean picked.
Oh, like a river runs through it.
No, you can't. Fishing for a sports show?
Sure.
He didn't go there. He picked Side Out.
And we hadn't heard of that one either.
We'd never even heard of it.
That's a beach volleyball one. I thought he would have picked North Shore, too. It's a surfing one. We grew up watching North Shore. It's a great sports movie.
I'll have to try that one. North Shore. I do love A River Runs Through It, by the way.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
next one. Favorite singer or band?
Oh, that's a tough one. For me, gosh, that's hard. I'll have to go with U2.
Oh.
And I'd like Shania Twain, too. That's old school.
Shania's got a show in Vegas now, doesn't she?
Yeah, I think so.
I will go see that one. I will go see that one. Shania and you too. Those are good choices. Yeah. What do you think Sean said?
Sean probably said like Chris Ledoux or Garth Brooks or George Strait or.
He was trying to be too cool.
He went old school.
He went with Dylan. Bob Dylan.
I believe he listened to a lot of Bob Dylan growing up. That I do remember. He had a hacky sack and a skateboard and everything.
Oh, really? So he was into that.
Never mind the stereotype. Okay. He was the stereotype.
So you two and Shania Twain. I can go with either of those. Those are great. Okay, this is maybe the most important one of all. Your favorite breakfast cereal.
Oh my gosh, grape nuts.
That's kind of healthy.
Okay, we have a few follow-up questions on that, if you don't mind.
Yeah, that's kind of healthy.
Like grape nuts, like straight grape nuts?
sugar on it.
Okay, so how much sugar? Because now you're talking my language. If you put enough sugar, the grape nuts could be good.
You know, we never got sugar cereal. This is a true story. We were just not allowed to. We didn't drink soda. Now I'm addicted to Diet Coke. We didn't have sugar cereal, so grape nuts. And if we got sugar on those or on Cheerios, it was a good day for us. So I didn't grow up with very many like fancy cereals. So my mom did hot breakfast every morning. Shout out to my mom.
That's big
hot
time.
breakfast every morning.
Our parents went with sugar-coated cereals on Saturday morning, and if we didn't get up in time, we didn't get them because they were gone, and it was really a ploy just to get us up so we could mow the lawn and do all that other stuff. So they had us figured out.
All I know is I used to come home from school every day, get a bowl of Captain Crunch with Crunch Berries or some sugar cereal and watch cartoons for a little while before I had to go to practice. So,
love that.
Shaped your life.
So Sean picked Cinnamon Toast Crunch, by the way.
Okay.
That's what he picked, which is not a bad one. Grape nuts, I should probably go back to grape nuts. My waist has got to get trimmed down some. Okay, so the next one, number 4, your favorite BYU moment.
Oh my gosh. You guys are asking questions nobody ever asks me.
That's because we're the wise guys, Coach.
But you're very wise. Nobody prepared me for this rapid fire, so I apologize.
We just want you to think right off the top of your head.
I'll have to say there's a ton. So, but I'll go immediately with beating Texas to get to the finals to play Penn State in 2014 with Sean.
Oh,
that was pretty incredible.
Yep. That's Sean said beating Long Beach State for the national title, but beating Texas in the national semifinal was also like he had those as right there, 1A and 1B.
Yeah, I mean, there's been so many moments, beating Stanford, #1 team in the country in 2018, getting the #1 seed. We've just had so many big moments. So I'd have to go with beating Texas and then being able to play in that national championship match. You
think after that Texas win, you and Sean look at each other going, how's this working out for us? How are we doing this for a living?
It was incredible because, again, he had the vision. He knew we had the student athletes to do it, and to do it in 4 years' time after just taking over in 11, credit to him and his vision. And it happened pretty fast, and it was awesome.
Hey, with that answer, Timothy from Perth, Australia is on the live stream. So there's another comment for us.
And here's Timothy's comment in live stream. He says, great show so far. Listening in from Perth, Australia again. Love how great our volleyball teams are. And it's thanks to the Olmsteads. So,
well, tell him, Timothy, Australia and New Zealand are on my foreign trip list of wish lists. So send me an email of where I need to go in Australia and New Zealand to get our team on an international trip, and maybe we'll see you.
There you go, Timothy. Awesome. You heard it right there. So
that's great.
We always love having Australia in the house. We have Japan in the house, Australia in the house. We typically have Singapore in the house. Colombia in South America is usually in the house with us, and then all over the United States and Mexico and Canada, all over North America.
When you were overseas in Egypt and all that last summer, did you ever go somewhere where there wasn't a BYU fan in some form?
No.
Wherever you went?
Never. We had a great crowd when we played the Egyptian national team. We had professors that are over there working. We had students that are over there. We had people that are just living. We had all sorts of fans. So same thing as in Turkey and Greece. It's incredible just to be welcomed everywhere you go and to represent the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. It's a huge blessing for us, and we get back tenfold. I wish we could do more and give more. We receive so much more from Cougar Nation and their love to us. We feel it.
Hey, by the way, Timothy said you can stay with my in-laws. But they have a big empty house. The whole team can hang out there.
It said they'll give you a tour of the entire state.
That's
he said.
Awesome.
Love it.
That's pretty awesome. Okay, now fifth question. And by the way, we asked Sean the same question in reverse. So what's your favorite thing about Sean?
Oh, gosh. I think just that, he's the only boy. So just he's the only brother to all these girls and women, and he puts up with us, and he allows us to be who we are, and just really loves us for who we are and supports us. And I think that's really cool and special, because I think that would be hard to be the only boy and have so many sisters. And so I think just the way he accepts us and understands, the dynamics of our family, and that the women rule the family, I think that's really cool.
That's awesome.
What do you think he said?
What do you think he said about you?
Oh gosh, that's a hard question. I don't know. What did he say?
He said, Heather, what makes her so great is her competitiveness. She's uber competitive in everything. He says it's so fun that she can be so competitive and so successful, and you can be a successful female in sports, and he loves that you're so competitive.
Oh, great. Oh, that's awesome. Thanks.
So there you go. Those 5 questions. By the way, Lynn on the live stream wanted to know if you have decided on a setter and a libero yet for the coming season.
Oh, show up this fall and find out, I guess, right? We
like
need some fans in the stand. And so, those things work themselves out. And I think everyone has an opportunity to get on the court for us when they're on our team. And we're excited to see who's going to show up this year and who's going to rise up and carry our team.
See, now Kalani's not the only one who gets a question of who's your starting quarterback.
Who's this? Who's that? So, and by the way, Heather, I'm there a lot. You don't notice as much because you don't know me. I know Sean better, so Sean and I, we always talk when I'm there. But I sit right on the baseline with Bruce Nilsson.
Okay.
And so we're always right behind the other team.
He usually has his shirt off. Until
no,
the
I
usher
do
tells
not
him to
have
put it
my
on.
shirt off because I can't have people seeing my 12-pack.
Okay.
So we sit there, and my favorite part about the games are listening to Bruce Nilsson just spew nonsense to the other team's servers. And it's like, it's not mean, but like he just says stuff that makes you go, huh? Like what? And sometimes the servers are there, and they they actually turn around and they look at him like, what did he just say? I just shrug. I don't even know. I don't even know where that came from. So it's not nasty. It's not mean spirited. I think he sits at home all week and he thinks of bizarre things to say to them. And then he says it over and over again. He's like, oh my gosh, like, look at the net. It looks like it's 12 feet up there right now. I can't even, why does that net look like it's 12 feet up there? Or he says stuff like, hey, the guy in the opposite row, look at the guy with the mustache and the red hat on. That guy with the red, you can't not focus on him. You're going to serve the ball right to him. It's going to be long. And they turn around and they look at him like, will you stop?
Please leave.
Talking to me. And I love it. Because
just kill him with kindness. I love it. You're respectful, you're kind, but we're annoying. It's annoying. I love it.
He is unbelievably respectful and kind and unbelievably annoying, and I just can't wait to hear what he says next. And it's part of the fabric of that crowd, that home crowd at the Smith Fieldhouse. So
awesome.
We're right there on the baseline cheering the girls on all the time, Heather.
I'll have to say hi. Yeah,
we'll be there for you.
I will. We'll get you some BYU volleyball, women's volleyball gear.
There we go. And you want to know what?
Gear.
I will wear it proudly. So
hey,
you guys send over your sizes. We'll get you some stuff.
Awesome.
Shoot me an email.
We're proud of all you accomplish, and we're looking forward to seeing the new team, as is everybody on campus and throughout Cougar Nation. Congratulations again. You can get to 500 without even Sean showing up with a team in January, so you can get that done ahead of him. But what a tandem and what a family, and we admire you. Thank you for being on tonight.
Thanks so much, Heather.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Okay, we'll see you in the gym.
All right, sounds good.
That's Heather Olmstead, the women's head volleyball coach, and I'm going to say it again because I think it's amazing. Her winning percentage is .869. That's the highest of any women's volleyball coach in NCAA Division I history. That's it. No one wins more than her.
No.
And
here's the thing, like she reminds me of Jen, who we had on last week, Jen Rockwood, where I love that their expectations, they know they've got national level programs. And they just embrace it. It's like, I love our preseason schedule because it'll test us and get us ready. And she expects to compete. She expects to compete for a Big 12 championship every year. That's why they go out there. So really, really fun to have Heather on. And when you have the most successful, from a winning percentage perspective, women's volleyball coach of all time, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. And great to have her on the Wise Guys. By the way, Those 5 questions, which were awesome, are presented by Strategy Square. Need a business or marketing strategy? Look to Strategy Square. All right, Olympic update. While we're rolling through women's sports, let's just keep it going. Former Cougar Whitney Morgan ran today in the finals of the 5,000 meters. She finished 13th in the world. We congratulate her.
Yeah, she ran in the finals. This is unbelievable. 13th in the world. Former Cougar Kenneth Rooks qualified for the finals in the 3,000 meter steeplechase on, and that final will be on Wednesday at 1:43 Mountain Time. He could medal.
Yeah, isn't that awesome?
Yeah,
good medal.
That's pretty cool.
You're in the mix. You're in the mix now.
Yeah.
Current Cougar James Corrigan, who is an amazing story, had his Olympic run come to an end. He finished 10th in his heat, where the top 5 in each heat advance onto the finals, also in that 3,000-meter steeplechase. But he's a sophomore. He's coming back.
Yeah, I saw our good friend Ed Eyestone. He had something out on Instagram today where he was doing a report from just outside the Olympic Stadium. And he said he's just a sophomore, and he's just scratching the surface. And he goes, he will be back here more than once and competing. So that's kind of fun.
That is fantastic.
Great future in front of James Corrigan.
Former Cougar Courtney Waymont qualified for the finals in the 3,000-meter steeplechase. Remember, BYU is the steeplechase U.
It's the capital of steeplechase.
Courtney's race is Tuesday afternoon, so tomorrow afternoon at 1:14 Mountain Time.
And she qualified 4th. So of all the heats, she was the 4th fastest time going into the finals. She has a chance to medal. She's going to have a great race, but she has a chance to medal.
That's so cool. Yeah. The United States eliminated in 3x3 competition. Jimmer, by the way, early in the second game, had 2 ligaments in his adductor torn completely.
Yeah.
And that's right up there near the hamstring. You got to have them to play. 6 months out to heal. So it was an injury where it was listed as game to game, but he was out. And the team, he was their offense, and we texted back and forth, and you know, one thing I said to him was, that's a bummer, but you're an Olympian. You'll always be an Olympian.
The day he got hurt, he received the #1 ranking in 3x3 in the world.
Yeah, and he got the team there. They went 2 years to qualify to get to the games. And you know what? Sports isn't fair. It's not, and it's just always been that way. And we get heartbroken from when bad things happen to great people, as they have persevered through so much. In the Olympics, no matter what country you're from, they're full of those stories.
Yes.
Of what they've overcome
every 4 years, right?
This or that. And so when you know someone who has it happen to them, like Jimmer, because they're going to win the gold medal.
Yeah.
If they weren't going to win the gold medal, they're going to win the silver medal. And the U.S. has never medaled in that.
I expected them to play Serbia again in the finals if Jimmer was healthy. But that just couldn't happen. It took the guts right out of him. So
anyway, Jimmer's run has come to an end, and we'll see him. Hopefully he's going to call some games with us.
Yeah, we'll get him on the show again too.
It's going to be 6 months before he's out running.
Hey, speaking of medals, Stephanie Rivetti, bronze medal, rugby sevens.
That's the lone
from
Cougar
the BYU
right now.
basketball team.
Yeah.
Right? So
that's the lone Cougar now.
Let's see if we can't get Courtney or James one here.
All right, let's do our Cougar Board question of the week. And if you're not familiar with Cougar Board, it's the largest online community of BYU fans, thousands of posts daily. This one comes from Acadian 8, one of their insider subscribers. From the fans' perspective, we're going back to football. From the fans' perspective, defensive tackle seems to be the position of greatest concern. Who are the players most likely to end up in the 2 deep? As such a key position to stopping the run, how do you feel about the DT position, defensive tackle position, compared to last year's crew?
The starters are bigger, stronger, and they're some of the same names, but they're much bigger and stronger, and they're healthy. And Blake Mengelson has moved down to DT and put on some weight. He looks really good inside to play that 3 technique defensive tackle. If there was a game tomorrow, the starting front 4 would be Tyler Batty at end, John Nelson, Blake Mengelson inside, and Isaiah Banya on the outside.
Yeah.
It's a very good front 4.
We talked to John's dad at practice
talked
tonight.
to him today.
Said he's feeling great.
Yep.
Thrilled with the second year in the J Hill defense.
Yeah, that's a very formidable D-line, and those guys are all bigger, stronger, faster. Isaiah Banya has made a big step forward. Tyler Batty's in the best shape I've ever seen him in. And those ends, they're deep at ends. But I think this question is also asking you about depth. And so you have David Latu, who sub in there. You got John Tama. I'm trying to remember how to even say his last name. Tamapeo. So I'm just doing that off the top of my head. So Tamapeo. So, but John, big, strong, physical guy. Josh Singh also plays inside. Danny Saili plays inside. All of those guys will rotate inside. And Latu has played really well here in fall camp so far. We thought we'd see him in all pads tonight, but they didn't have pants on tonight. So at some point in the week, they're going to be in full pads where they can go full go, and we'll see. But with the limited time they've had just in shells, David Latu. So, but that starting front four right now looks like Batty, Banya, Nelson, and Mangelson. Nelson Mangelson inside.
Looking forward to August 31st.
Oh, yes. And they're backed up by, we mentioned those backers. We already told you who I thought the starting three backers would be if they were to start today. That's a nice front. Think about that front seven. Batty and Banya outside on the ends. Nelson and Mangelson inside. Taggart at that middle backer. And Jack Kelly and Glasker, who's a monster on the outside and can really run. That's a very, very good front seven.
I interviewed Isaiah Banya the other day for an article at Deseret.com. And he is so fun to talk to. And he is so thrilled to be in the second year of the defense, to own it and to be healthy and ready to go. And you, when you're done talking to him, you're like, okay, now we're all ready. We're all ready to go tackle somebody. And there's a whole bunch of these guys. Miles Davis, I have a story coming out either tonight or tomorrow on Miles Davis, a guy running back healthy, fast, healthier than he's been since the Wyoming game 2 years ago when he ran for 131 yards. And there's an energy that's coming from these guys of like, you know what? They say we're going to win 4 games. Yeah, that's not going to happen.
I get the sense Kalani loves that everybody's saying they're going to win 4 games.
Yeah.
And I get the sense that these players are embracing the chip on their shoulder. So they'll have no problem with motivation going into this one.
Hey, 007 BYU fan in Jacksonville, Florida is on the live stream tonight. A lot of rain from Hurricane Debbie.
Yeah, we've seen video coming out of the state of Florida. Stay dry down there. 007.
You know what I worry about? All these hurricanes coming to Florida, and then I envision like all these alligators just all over the place.
Yeah.
That's because all I see is alligator video on YouTube. You think every yard's got one.
Yeah. Hey, I love how the chat's like interacting with one another tonight. So Lynn Hazelwood says, I watch every game via YouTube, ESPN or BYU TV, but I live 12 hours away and I'm old. And then John Franklin says, Lynn, where do you live and how old is old? So it's like they're just helping each other. And by the way, somebody asked earlier why you and I filled in so much for Jeremy and where Jeremy has been on Sports Nation. I had Sports Nation today. Between you and I, we've managed the last 2 weeks. You and I have covered
and
Sports
the next
Nation.
2 weeks,
right, with Spencer, and then you and I are on together on Monday,
the 19th.
The 19th.
Don't miss that show. It's just me and Blaine.
That's Dave and I hosting Sports Nation. But and then Linda Murray answered the question. But for any of you who are still out there wondering and weren't following in the chat, Jeremy had a new baby. So there's a new policy at BYU where he gets 6 weeks of paternity leave. So Jeremy took 6 weeks out. And Dave and I have been filling in as much as we can.
Just before we get to some big basketball news, as we say hello to Montana in on the live stream. Next week, Ty Mattingly of the 1984 National Championship team is going to be here. David Almadova, the Associate Athletic Director over Marketing, is going to be here to talk about the new things in the stadium this fall and all these anniversary things. The 50th year of the first bowl game, the 40th year of the national championship game.
Hey, if we do something on the field for that, do I get to go this time?
You might be able
all
to.
The national championship stuff over the years, I'm always on set with you guys, and you never let me go.
You probably won't. You'll probably be on set with us. But just know that everyone out there doing that wishes they were sitting where you were. Also next week, Olivia Allen and Gibson Bailey. They're the co-presidents of The Rock.
Yes.
We're going to find out what life's like in The Rock and what they got planned.
What they got in store for this football season.
So that's coming up. And then August 19th, not only are you and I hosting Sports Nation together.
Yeah, that's a big Monday.
August 19th, 2 weeks from tonight, BYU President Shane Reese will be there, and Utah President Taylor Randall will be over there.
And then Austin Collie's going to be on the show that week. Is Austin coming on via Zoom? He probably has football practice with the kids up in Salt Lake City.
And we'll get Austin on just so we can get some football on. But anyway, so the next couple of weeks are going to be a lot of fun.
Shane Reese will talk analytics for football with us.
Yes. We got all kinds of things going on. Anyway, we love that you love this show, and we're going to keep doing it. Before we talk about AJ DeBanza, let's do our Defense Drinks promo.
Oh, yeah.
You hold it up and I'll read it. That's how we do this.
Yep, this is how we do it.
And then we'll explain again, in case you missed this, why that autographed football is in front of Blaine.
Yeah.
Defense Drinks is a drink that does more. In addition to hydration or pre-workout, it helps strengthen your joints, reduces soreness, and is sweetened with allulose, so it won't spike your blood sugar or disturb your insulin levels. You're watching live right now as Blaine is preparing a defense drink. Save 10% on your order at defensedrinks.com using the promo code WiseGuys. And by the way, if you're listening on the podcast, Blaine is now completing his drink mix.
This is the sound of me shaking it.
There you go.
If you're just listening on the podcast.
That's awesome. that took our podcast to the next level. Also, we always have this autographed football on the desk here, thanks to Hinckley Rapati. This is going to be auctioned off at our charity golf tournament tomorrow for Ephraim Hope Mission at Cedar Hills Golf Club. That is all locked in and sold out, so we're excited about that. But you can get a bid in now if you go to wiseguys.com, and maybe you can get this football, which is only going to increase in value as the season goes on.
So, Jack, if they bid on Wise Guys and they win the bid, then we'll just figure out how to ship it to them?
Yeah, we'll ship it to them.
Yeah, so we'll send it to you.
And we're going to see a bunch of you at the golf thing tomorrow.
Yeah.
We'll be out there to say hello before we go shoot AFR. But that's going to be cool. Love that Hinckley Rapati did that on his own.
And by
to
the way,
participate in this cause
Hinckley
of raising
so
money for kids in Uganda to get them school supplies.
We love Hinckley because he's a great human being and he's on the show and he's so articulate. So Hinckley Rapati looks crazy fast and quick in practice.
I'm telling you, he's going to get 100 yards
if he
on August 31st.
Stays healthy, please, and I'm knocking on wood again, he and Miles Davis stay healthy, there's some speed and quickness in that backfield big time.
All right, the teaser has ended. Let's give you some stuff here. Basketball recruit A.J. DeBansa has BYU in his final 7. He's trimmed that down. You know who's off the list? Kentucky and Arkansas.
How about that?
Down to 7. He's going to make his official visit to Provo this fall, as been reported, and we've been talking about it too. He's already been on an unofficial visit, and his parents have been here twice. Gave them tours of BYU TV as part of all of that. Here are the other schools in contention for AJ: Alabama, Auburn, Baylor, Kansas, Kansas State, North Carolina. He's still not expected to decide until February. He's 6'9". He's the number 1 prospect in the class of 2025. Good kid, fantastic ball player. He's a one-and-done guy, and BYU's being pretty good at making the sell of come here to BYU. You got an NBA coach, you got a EuroLeague and G League staff, and you've got a strength and conditioning coach that worked with the Milwaukee Bucks. And we've got an environment that can keep you focused on basketball and school. And if you're serious about basketball, and this is Kevin Young's pitch, especially with the honor code, because he comes right out and goes, we got an honor code. This is what it is. If you're serious about basketball, then this shouldn't be a problem because the guys I coach in the NBA don't do any of this.
That's right.
And they talk about, are you serious or not? AJ is serious. BYU is a contender for his services.
And Kevin Young will tell these players, hey, you're projected lottery pick. I've developed a bunch of them.
Yeah. Like, by the way, I got 2 on the phone.
And here's the list. Here's the list of lottery picks I've helped develop. So let me develop you. I know what your game needs, and we'll get it for you. So
that's the AJ watch. And by the way, he's not the only 5-star that's looking this way.
That's right.
Just know that.
Yeah.
Big things are happening. And this is not for this year's team. This year's team's all full.
Yeah.
This is next year and beyond.
How about speaking of 5-star guys, let's revisit that. We talked about it at the beginning of the broadcast, but BYU freshman Yegor Demon, he had his recruiting status elevated to 5 stars by 24/7 Sports. That makes him the first 5-star basketball player in program history. He'll be on BYU Sports Nation on Wednesday morning on BYU TV. So
that's going to be cool. He hasn't done an interview yet. And so Wednesday. Wednesday. By the way,
I'm excited to watch him.
The men's schedule, we think it'll be out in the next week. But per reports, UC Riverside's going to come to Provo on November 8th.
Yeah.
So we're slowly with Central Arkansas. Here's our week plan. We got Central Arkansas on November 5th.
Right.
Which is the day, I believe, which is election night. So we got Wise Guys on the 4th. Mm-hmm. We'll call the Central Arkansas game on the 5th, and then we'll call the Riverside game on the 8th, And then on the 9th is BYU Utah football in Salt Lake with game day before and after.
We'll do game day.
That's one of the greatest weeks of the year. It's coming together, and it's going to be full of stuff we're really interested in seeing.
Yeah,
including those 3 games.
I'm going to try to get to basketball practice this week. Jeff Chapman, one of the BYU all-time greats, he's been on the show with us.
Yeah,
he's coming in for the week for some work. So when he comes in town, he usually comes and stays with us. So he's going to come stay with us. And he said to me last night, "Hey, Blaine, I'm going to run over to practice later in the week. You want to come?" I said, "Absolutely." So I can just tag along with Jeff and go to practice.
Someone's got to drive him over there.
He's the alumni player rep to the team. So if Jeff drags me in, then I get to go. So I'll go watch practice this week and let you know how it goes.
All right, here's the women's hoop schedule. That non-conference slate came out this week. 11 games, 6 home, 3 road, 2 neutral. I kind of like it because there's some potential wins in here to get them ready for the Big 12. And you know what? It was an education for them last year in the Big 12.
Yeah.
And
very talented, very young basketball team last year.
And we had a couple of them on here a couple of weeks ago, and it's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah.
They got a lot of things going on.
Hey,
so here's their slate.
The theme was everybody can shoot on this team this year, right? So it's going to be fun. So Westminster, October 29th at home. November 6th, November 9th, Idaho and Wyoming at home. November 13th, Colorado State at home. And then we finished the homestand November 19th with McNeese.
Say, I like those at home.
Yeah.
Those were on the road last year.
Home. And so we pick it up at the 21st of November.
Idaho State on the road. And then Northern Colorado at home. Then they go to Cancun for Rice and Iowa. Iowa minus Caitlin Clark, which is probably a good thing.
That'll be good.
But they'll still be really good. Iowa's their big test of the non-conference. Then they go to El Paso to take on UTEP, home for Utah Valley, and at Washington State will be another tough one.
Yeah.
But Washington State, who's no longer in the Pac-12, I mean, in theory, are they in the WCC in basketball this year?
I think they are in basketball. Yeah,
so that's a little different, but they'll still be good. But I see a lot of wins. I see a lot of confidence building wins.
Maybe get on the roll and get confident shooting the basketball. And this is a team that's, it's athletic. They got more length this year. They got some transfers. There'll be impact transfers. So I think they take a step forward this year.
We had R.A. Mackey-Williams on Sports Nation the other day. Boy, they missed her last year. Tore ACL in camp, and she's going to be a big leader for them as they get going. So now we have their non-conference. We wait for the men, but that's kind of coming together. And you kind of piecemeal it together.
Shouldn't we?
Pretty good idea of it.
Maybe by the end of the week. I think by the end of the week we might have the men's. I hope so. So
one of the things they were talking about is moving the Wyoming game from Laramie to the Delta Center. And there'll be some money changing hands because Wyoming will have to give up a home game. But if I'm Kevin Young, whatever that price is, pay it. There's no reason to go to Laramie on a cold November, December night when you can play them at the Delta Center in front of your fans.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens there. But there were some of those things, and maybe that's what's kept the schedule from being released. But on this day, August 5th, are you ready?
I'm ready for this.
A lot of things have happened on this day.
Yeah, so in 1775, the first Spanish ship, the San Carlos, enters San Francisco Bay.
1775. Now think how many people are in the San Francisco Bay area.
Yeah.
It's crazy. 1884, the cornerstone of the Statue of Liberty is laid in New York.
Have you noticed the sister Statue of Liberty in the scenes from Paris during the Olympics this week?
No.
Yeah, there's a Statue of Liberty there.
Well,
they keep showing pictures of it. I'm like, oh, and didn't France give the Statue of Liberty to the United States?
So maybe they have one of their own.
Yeah, I think they do. I think they have
a prototype.
I think they have Lady Liberty's sister over there. So 1914, the first electronic traffic light in the United States was installed in Cleveland.
Blame Cleveland for that long red
fault.
light. Maybe that's why Cleveland was nicknamed the Mistake by the Lake, because that's where
the first red light.
First long red light showed up. 1936, on this day, Jesse Owens wins his 3rd gold medal in the Berlin Olympics, ran the 200 meter in 20.7.
Man, that's still good time.
Yeah.
To these days. So 1957, the American Bandstand premieres on ABC.
I remember that was on Saturdays. It was
on
like,
the bandstand.
when is this going to be over so the football game will come on?
Yeah.
The Beatles in 1966 released Yellow Submarine in the United Kingdom.
We all live. Okay, there you go. That was my singing for the day. 1967, the first exhibition game after the AFL-NFL merger. The Broncos beat the Lions 13-7.
So here's something significant. So They do the merger there in 1967, and the only player since then to have 10 receiving touchdowns, 10 touchdown passes, and 10 rushing touchdowns is Taysom Hill.
Taysom Hill.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. Did you see what he benched and squatted the other day?
He's running fullback now.
He's a freak.
He's nuts. 1979
and
on this day.
I say that in the best way.
Yeah.
He's a freak in the best way.
Pete Rose sets the National League record with his 2,427th single.
Wow. How about in 2012? Usain Bolt wins gold in London. He runs 100 meters in 9.63. He later went on to run it in 9.58, and nobody's touching that these days.
So Owens ran the 200 in 20.7. He runs the 100 in 9.63, and
then sets the world record at 9.58, which is nuts.
On this day in 2022, Volkswagen launched their prototype of its first flying car, the Flying Tiger.
What's happened with it? How come it's
I
not?
haven't seen it.
I've always wanted a flying car.
There's nothing flying by.
When we were kids watching the Jetsons, didn't you think by now we'd have a flying car?
You know what's crazy is go back and watch the Jetsons. Most of that stuff's happening.
But not the flying car thing.
Not the flying car.
And not where you take the little pill and you put it on the plate and you put it in the microwave and it comes out like a turkey.
Yeah, not yet.
They don't have that either. So
that's probably somewhere. August 5th birthday. I can't believe it's August 5th. August 5th birthdays. 1922, L. Tom Perry, born in Logan, apostle of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, one of the biggest BYU fans.
I used to love, we'd get in an elevator going up and he'd always say, okay, Blaine, tell me what's going to happen here. Yeah. He was one of the kindest, most gracious people I've ever met, L. Tom Perry. 1930, Neil Armstrong, the astronaut.
1937, Herb Brooks, coach of the hockey team that beat the Russians. And Miracle on Ice is a movie made about that moment. And Kurt Russell does an awesome job.
Yeah, Kurt's great in that.
Being Herb Brooks.
1956, Maureen McCormick, Marsha Brady.
Marsha.
Did you like Marsha or Jan better?
Marsha.
Yeah, I like Marsha too.
And you know what? That day she took the football in the nose.
Did you like Ginger or Marianne on Gilligan's Island better?
That was tougher.
That's a tougher one.
That's a tougher one.
Sometimes I think I like Marianne better than Ginger.
1962, she was spunkier. Patrick Ewing was born on this
August
day.
5th, yeah. And 2001, Anthony Edwards, the Ant-Man, the T-Wolf star.
Is he the next superstar in the NBA?
He certainly has all the makings. Oh, yeah.
He's fantastic.
He can fly. He's got a great personality, too.
A couple of deaths on August 5th that are notable for our show. 1792, Frederick North. He was the Prime Minister of Great Britain. And he, in those neighborhoods, is known as, quote, the man who lost America. How would you like to have that on your family legacy?
Is that on his tombstone?
Yeah, he's the guy that lost the whole thing. The man who lost America, Frederick North, Prime Minister of Great Britain, died on this day in 1792. You know, 1792, that's not too long after it all went down.
No, that's right. So,
poor guy.
1991, Paul Brown, legendary NFL coach of the Browns and the Bengals, passed away on August 5th.
Our Wise Guys inspirational quote of the week is from our friend, Elder L. Tom Perry.
Elder Perry says, a good character is something you must make for yourself. It cannot be inherited from parents. It cannot be created by having extraordinary advantages. It isn't a gift of birth, wealth, talent, or station. It is the result of your own endeavor. It is the reward that comes from living good principles and manifesting a virtuous and honorable life.
How about that? L. Tom Perry. You know, when you Google great quotes from L. Tom Perry, it's page after page page. This one jumped off that page. Yeah. It's a good one.
Can't inherit it.
Special thanks to BYU women's head volleyball coach Heather Olmstead. That was awesome.
That was
really
great.
Great time with her. And I thought her 5 questions were fantastic. And if you missed them, you can go back on the stream or wiseguys.com and you can listen to it again.
Yeah. Grape nuts is her favorite cereal.
Yeah, but she did admit that she puts a lot of sugar.
Put some sugar on it. That makes it doable.
When I have grape nuts, I like grape nuts.
They're good, but you got to have sugar.
There's so much sugar on them, they might as well call them frosted grape nuts.
Yeah, exactly.
Then they go down. You know, there's still a fight, but people complain about Captain Crunch ripping up the roof of your mouth. Try grape nuts.
Grape nuts
Eat grape nuts in a hurry.
Yeah, they'll do that to you. So there you go.
Next week, 1984 national champion Ty Mattingly. He's going to have some great stories.
Yeah.
BYU Associate
He
Athletic
better not tell
Director.
some of the ones he knows about me, though.
He just might. That's a must-see TV. BYU Associate Athletic Director over Marketing, David Almadova, going to be here to explain what fans can expect to see inside the stadium this fall. And I love this. Olivia Allen and Gibson Bailey, the co-presidents of the Rock.
I'm as excited about having Olivia and Gibson on as any guest we've had. I think it'll be fun to have them on.
And we're going to talk about what they got going on over there at the football stadium. Remember in 2021 when Arizona State came and they got I don't know what, 11 or 12 false starts?
False start after false start. Every
all
time
down there in front of the Rock. They couldn't hear, and the students were part of the game. Yeah. And that was when we were going, you know what, that Rock is, and then you take the Rock into the Marriott Center and what they do. So we're going to talk to the co-presidents and see what they have cooking. That's next week. Our podcast will be up tomorrow. Share it with your friends, and please go to YouTube and hit the subscribe button, and go to wiseguys.com and click on the bell. I think you get the bell, and then you are part of our weekly email, which are highlights from this show. Just like magically comes like on Thursday when you're back lost in the week, and all of a sudden, ding, and you look in there's an email from the Wise Guys, and it's highlights from our show.
Why not? Right? It's free
because we can. We're gonna auction off that football and one just like it tomorrow morning at our golf tournament. We'll look to see some of you folks out there at Cedar Hills, and then we'll report back on it next week. We got a lot going on, and we are presented by BradyPlus. By the way, the Bradys of BradyPlus have a lot going on. Jared's getting married this weekend. And so a shout out to the Brady clan. We thank them for their support of this show. And
you coached Jared.
We'll see him at the reception on Saturday night.
Did you coach Jared?
Yeah, he was my right fielder.
Yeah. So and then I had
him on the volleyball
I had
team.
Jared in my ward up on campus.
Yeah, good kid, good family, and great supporters of our show, which we love. All right, Dave McCann, Blaine Fowler, we're the Wise Guys. I think this has been a fun show.
And we'll have another one next week. We'll see you next week.
See ya.